Hey, look, it's another movie about planes with Glen Powell in 2022. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and this is my review of Devotion. I'm a blind film critic, and this just hit Paramount Plus with audio description. And I reviewed it immediately. I'm like that good. I'm just like a quick service. You know, ask and you shall receive. So I was, I don't want to say I was excited for Devotion. I was slightly above optimistic. I don't know, somewhere around optimistic about Devotion. Hollywood is really trying to make Jonathan Majors happen. So I was like, oh, well, this is going to be a great little thing to get him going. I can feel it. It's based on a true story. It's another film with planes this year. And, yeah. I thought wrong. It's just... I'm trying to put myself in like the mindset of if Top Gun Maverick had not come out this year and we were just watching Devotion and that was like the only plane film that came out this year, would I find Devotion to be good? And I don't think so. There's still something about it that feels cheap, under budget. That feels, it's long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I swear to God, nothing happens for the first hour. It's got a little bit of the white savior stuff going on, but it's really hard to say that this film is white savior complex. I know, hi, I'm a white guy, and I'm a movie critic, and these are my thoughts. But like, I'm aware of what that is. And for people to say, oh, it's a white savior film, it's not really. It's more like Remember the Titans, where the movie was very much about Denzel Washington's character and the progress that he made. And then like in the background, he had a white assistant coach that was like a nice guy, you know? Like that, like that was the dynamic. Yeah, he's definitely the lead of the film, and then Glen Powell is, his wingman. It's once again Glen Powell did not get the cool role. He got the, oh, I'm the other guy. Awesome. Glen Powell's gonna have an entire career full of roles where it's like, oh, I'm the other one. Not nearly as bad as some of the other characters. I mean, there were some of the other pilots. I didn't even care about anybody else in the film. Apparently, Joe Jonas is in this. I don't even. If that was a character, cool. Go for Joe Jonas. It's about as much. He had about as much character specificity as Harry Styles did in Dunkirk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that film is not about Harry Styles in any way, shape, or form, but some people who are Harry Styles fans will only remember that Harry Styles was in Dunkirk. They'll just be like, oh my God, Harry Styles was in Dunkirk. He was so good. And it's like, yeah, he's very much not the lead of that film. That was not what your takeaway was supposed to be. So it's about the same kind of thing. It's like the film is very much not about Joe Jonas. He's just like one of the other guys. That's, yeah, cool. Go for it. Also, Joseph Cross got kind of buried in the supporting cast, which is a little surprising considering he's got a little bit more acting on his resume than pretty much everybody else in this film. Just a whole list of people I've never heard before in my life. Thomas Sadowski, I've seen him in some stuff before, at least on TV. But this is not really like a star-driven vehicle. This is all to get Jonathan Majors to the A-list. This film was built to elevate Jonathan Majors before his great Marvel debut as like the new villain, the new Thanos for the upcoming Avengers films. This is just really boring. This was like so slow. It was so boring. Even finally when we get to the fight scenes, it's I don't know if Top Gun ruined movie magic for me, but I didn't even care. It's like Devotion opened in a year where it either thought we needed a war film for families, or it thought it was going to be the only war film this year. And here's the thing. So fighter planes, we did it better already. We did Top Gun Maverick. The film's fantastic. It also doesn't have a problem with its runtime. Like, it actually it's like it's the same length, if not longer, but you don't feel it. And the score is epic. It's got everything going for it. The characters are dynamic. You feel the supporting cast. You actually give a shit about more than just the two main characters in the film. It it checked off every single box, which is why it's in the Oscar race. Okay, so you take that and you go, well, there go the planes. What about war? What if we just talk about war? This is just a war film. This dude is an actual war hero. Well, we got All Quiet on the Western Front. It's crazy great. If you haven't seen All Quiet on the Western Front, it's incredibly bleak and depressing as hell. But it's a war film, and Edward Berger directed the shit out of it. So, Devotion came along, and it's just like, I don't know what its audience is at this point. Like, its audience has already seen something that was better than it just this year alone. I'm not even talking about, like, other years. Like, we're not even roping in other war movies or other Air Force movies or other films about planes or anything like that. I just think J.D. Dillard directed what felt like the Heaven is for Real version of Top Gun. I don't know how else to describe. It's like, it's not a faith-based movie, but for some reason it feels like it has about the same quality to it. They didn't give it a huge budget. Everything is toned down. Everybody's being really polite and nice, and the violence is dramatically reduced for a war film. They spend so much time training before they ever get to the actual battle. The film touches race, but they do it almost from Jonathan Majors' perspective entirely. This film is slightly, he interacts with people who are racist, but he is much harder on himself. He has these monologues where he's by himself and he just calls himself all the racist names in the book. I don't know, it's the world's worst hype speech. To remind himself of all the things he's heard and other people say to him. He's just in the bathroom and he's saying calling himself all these racist things. It's just I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And the funny thing is, it's based on a true story. It's based on the live lease, but nobody was there for that moment. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to spoil the end of the film, but only one of these guys makes it. So only one of these guys was able to tell the story. Only one guy was in that bathroom. So only one guy would have been able to say, this is what happened in that bathroom. So this is one of those I'm going to take a liberty here and I'm going to put the scene in. It's just, why is the scene here? I don't know. I'm not even sure. And again, we have Till this year, with Daniel Detweiler. So we have films that have also tackled race and done a really good job of doing that. So I don't know. Devotion just doesn't win me over in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't become the best of anything. It's even if those films weren't here this year, I still don't think I would like it. So it kind of fell flat for me on multiple accounts. I does not need to be 2 hours and 20 minutes. I was watching the first hour of the film going, what? What? Why is this film so slow? It feels like two movies. It feels like we have to watch everybody train like Top Gun, and then Top Gun Maverick comes in at the end and they're like, by the way, now you have a mission. And you're like, oh God, we just spent all that time training and now they have to have a mission? Oh. And then they get to the mission, but then they get like to another mission. Like they're heading off to, for a while they're over in France because they're supposed to be doing something in the Mediterranean Sea. And then they're like, we got our marching orders. We're heading to Korea. And I was like, from France? Jeez. Luckily, we fast forward. Luckily. We don't have to see how long it takes an aircraft carrier to go from France to Korea. But, because that would have been like Devotion, the sequel at that point. Lord of the Devotion, the Two Towers. Like Frodo and the gang are slowly trying to get their way. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I know some people like this. It has like a 66 on Metacritic and a 7 on IMDb. Yeah, I IMDb this damn thing before I did my review, so I could look at the cast and be like, oh, who's in this? Oh, look at these interesting people. There's a woman who does Elizabeth Taylor, and I didn't know it was Elizabeth Taylor. Maybe she looks like her, but vocally, it didn't do it for me vocally. Yeah, it is what it is, and I guess if you really love war films, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you'll watch this, maybe you won't. But it's just really weird that Devotion came out this year. It's really weird that like Devotion is submitting itself for Oscar consideration again in a year when we have so many other films that did elements of this film but did it better. Like, who's choosing Devotion over the other? Who thinks Devotion was better? It's so weird to me. Like, I can't even fathom that those people exist. The audio description here is fine, if that's what you want to get into. And actually the acting here is fine. It's really weird watching Glen Powell tone himself down, because he always feels like he has to be kind of smarmy and snarky in his roles. And he's really good with comedy, and there's none of that here. This is just Glen Powell playing it straight, which is a weird casting choice, because I would never have cast him in that, but it works. That's actually one of the positive things I'm going to say here, is actually I think Glen Powell does a good job not being funny. I still think about him from Scream Queens, and he was like one of my favorite things on Scream Queens. So, Jonathan Majors is great. Like, he's fine. He just needs to find the right projects. I don't know that Devotion is it. I think he did okay at the box office. But I think 30 years from now, if we're talking about Jonathan Majors' amazing career, I don't think we're going to be like, man, I'm really glad he started off in Devotion. I just don't think that's going to happen. So, watch it, don't watch it. I don't think anybody cares anymore. It's on Paramount Plus. I don't think it's going to get any Oscar nominations. It's only shortlisted in like one category, and it's definitely not getting any above the line category nominations. This is not getting into Best Picture. He's not getting in the actor race. So I think it's like shortlisted for score. So on a wing and a prayer, it might get nominated for score. So that's about it. Anyway, it was Paramount Plus, so I tried, but it moved me into another thing. Actually, I was in quite a bit of the credits. I was like, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna make it. And now Paramount Plus felt like I needed to watch something else. So I almost got to the end of the credits, but no, the narration. I got nothing. I got no qualms with the narration here. There wasn't anything about it, you know, that it doesn't heavy hand the race card, even though race is an element. It's not constantly trying to remind you of everybody's race around him, so you don't hear that every single character around Jonathan Majors is white. It just kind of is. It just kind of is that way for him. Like, he talks about his race and how he feels a lot, and a lot of it is totally valid. And when he explains it, because he explains it to Glen Powell, it totally makes sense. I'm like, I'm there with you. I get it. But it's almost kind of shoehorned into the film a little bit. It's just kind of brought in. It doesn't really feel like that's what the film is about. It feels like this is a war film, and I think it's just with a war film with way too much backstory, with way too much leading up to the actual battle, the actual fighting. So in order to get to know these characters, we have to get to know them really deep and personal. And for him personally, that was the thing he was worried about, was his race, and that being a factor, and the experiences that he's been through as a black man. And Glen Powell just kind of stands there, nods, and just takes it in. And then we move on, because that's what this film does. It doesn't really mean to say or do anything. It's just taking up time. It's like having a really cool concept and being like, what if we blew up a volcano? And somebody's like, that sounds awesome. Now, how do we write a film about it? I don't know. Well, we're going to have to get to the blowing up of the volcano, so we're going to need this whole story before we blow up the volcano. That's kind of what this film is. There's a lot of lead before this film ever gets interesting. You could literally skip the first hour of the film and you'd be fine. You would be fine. I think you'd pick up on what was going on, because they're still learning and they're still becoming buddies an hour into the film. I don't think you missed anything. So maybe his wife would have less screen time because you missed the first hour, but you're not missing anything. So I'm gonna give Devotion a C-. It's got acting going for it. That's what I'll say. It's got the acting going for it. I think everybody in this film did a great job. But God damn, this needed to be edited. This needed editing so bad. There's no reason. This would be 90 minutes. Put me in the editing room. This would be a 90-minute film. It would be awesome. It would feel action-packed. I would have hired somebody else to do a score. I think it's so weird that it's nominated for score, because it's like, this is like the least adventurous score for a film, for a war movie. I felt like I was watching, I don't know, some weird, very passive, it was very understated. And sometimes with war films, you don't want understated. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about Devotion, but most of them are not great. So C-. Thanks for tuning in, checking out my review, and please subscribe so I can keep talking to you about movies that have audio description, and also what it's like for my blind ass to be watching these films. it's weird that I was able to follow Devotion. I feel like there are probably people who are like, you missed out on it because it's cool, and there were planes were flying, and in the planes, and they look cool, and they're like zooming through the sky, and they're like doing stunts, and because you're blind, you didn't get that. Dude, I gave Top Gun Maverick an A. That shit is in my top 10 of 2022. I mean, like, I can understand conceptually what that looks like. The movie has to be there. I can't just be like, planes are cool, A, for every film that has planes. The film has to work around it. So, yeah. Anyway, I have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on Twitter at MacTheMovieGuy. You can follow me on Instagram at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the Audio Description Project, adp.acb.org, and you can go there and find movies that have audio description and where you can watch them. And you can go to the ADNA.org, that's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know who is narrating your favorite films and television series. That's all from me for today. But I'm devoted to you guys, and I will see you on the other side.